Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Mind Shifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie. Michael and Jeanie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rahma. Michael is the author of Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeanie Ryce.
And the truth that is rooted within me.
Well, good afternoon, and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce. And this is Friday already. This week has flown by. One of the things we've announced every day this week is that starting on Monday, the 17th, that our Mind Shifters Radio show is going to move back an hour. We're going to be from 1 to 2 Eastern Time, and which is noon to 1 our time, Central Time. So be sure and make a note of that so that you come in at the new time. And also, we are now partnered with an Impact Player Music Nation Radio Network, and so you can also pick us up live at their radio station on the Internet, and you can get all that information on our website at Mind Shifters Radio. Our call-in number is 646-200-4169. We would love to hear from you, have your comments, questions. It makes the show go in your direction, and we can answer the questions that you have going on in your mind. Today is day 138 of our Memorial Day celebration. Michael, good morning, or good afternoon.
Hey, sweetie. Welcome to the show, everyone. It's a delight to have you here. Memorial Day. What's Memorial Day about? Well, Memorial Day is about changing critical mass. And that's the topic I'd like to address today, unless somebody has a different idea, which I'm open to, a way we can support you, and we'd love to hear your phone calls. Critical mass, what does that mean? Well, in the ancient teachings, the physics teacher, Yeshua, popularly known as Jesus, his name was not Jesus, which means Hail Zeus, the copy of a Greek god Zeus. His name was Yeshua. It said, a little leavening leavens the whole loaf. This had nothing to do with theology. This has to do with physics. And what we're looking to do is to create a leavening. You know, we talked yesterday about how in Japan and, old Georgie just a couple of years ago, he was out there making sure that anybody who dissented with the opinion of war was removed, was obliterated, was silenced, was put out of sight. Because if you let that voice be heard, critical mass will shift and change. The higher frequency always governs. So when we invite you to honor Memorial Day with us, our invitation is one of every day inviting you to look at something in you that you're willing to forgive, something based in hostility or fear that never belonged in your human life. And as you do that, you will become the critical mass. You will become the energy system that supports a shift in that arena in every mind, heart, and being on the planet. We don't have to change 7.5 billion minds. We just have to get to a critical mass of people. And so that's where we want to go. And there's a little story in the back of my book I'd like to share with you. And, of course, you can download the book free on our website. You can also download the whole forgiveness process, and forgiveness not being anything to do with I let you off the hook for what's happening in me. It's how I change what's happening in me. It's something I apply inside of me. I don't apply it outside of me. And so if you go to www.whyagain.com, www.whyagain.com, on the right-hand side, you'll see a link that says Download Worksheets. First 4 links will give you the whole forgiveness story. And toward the back of my book, and you can download the book free on the website. There's a small story that says, "Will you make the difference?" "Tell me the weight of a snowflake," a hawk asked a wild dove. "Nothing, more than nothing," was the answer. "In that case, I must tell you a marvelous story," said the hawk. "I sat on the branch of a fir, close to its trunk. It began to snow. Not heavily, not a raging blizzard, no, just like in a dream, without any violence. Since I had nothing better to do, I counted the snowflakes settling on the twigs and needles of my branch. Their number was exactly 3,741,952 when the next snowflake dropped onto the branch. Nothing, more than nothing, as you say, and the branch broke off. Having said that, the hawk flew away. The dove, since Noah's time an authority on peace, thought about the story for a while and finally said with resolve, perhaps only one person's voice is lacking for peace to come about in the world. When we speak about critical mass, we're speaking about creating an energetic impact on this system that changes the dynamic of the system. And so by taking the challenge on of looking at something in your life today that you're willing to put the pen to the paper and do a worksheet on to forgive, to remove from yourself, you will have the opportunity to be part of that leavening. Part of the, when in the ancient, another way that critical mass was spoken about was, it was said, a little leavening leavens the whole loaf. And I'm sure he wasn't talking about bread. He was saying all it takes is a little of the higher frequency. Who's going to be the one that will face the hostilities, the fears, the terrors, the horrors in themselves, who will open the veil of their own temple, their own body-mind unit, and remove what never belongs? That's what we're here to invite you to do. So, Jeanie, do we have David with us today? Do we have Dr. Tim on the show today?
David is
Hello,
on the
Jeanie.
show. David is on the show. Tim is not.
Okay, I think Tim said he had something going on for part of this week, so for today. Anyway, David, how do you be, sir?
I'm doing very well, Michael. And how are you and Jeanie doing?
We are well, and I know that you are there in Louisville, Kentucky, working to be part of the leavening. That changes the game. How's the game-changing process going?
Well, each day, each hour, there's just major shifts. I was actually at with a group last night and from the Unity Church and doing a book study on surfing your inner self, and we talked about a lot of the things, of the principles of forgiveness, and at the end of it, then there was the recognition to have groups of people that are meeting, and they're meeting all over the city, to raise this level of consciousness and to be aware and to do their work. And to be able to be part of that, there were 12, 13 people that were there on a Thursday evening and doing their work. So it's great to be able to have that support going on. Much different than what it was 20 years ago, 20, 25 years ago for me. I would imagine it's much different for you today with the years that you've put in doing this work.
Well, it's certainly an ongoing process of facing ourselves and facing in the culture what creates destruction in the culture. And that's what we're here to do, to support people in being able to really, truly be that change, as Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. And so when you do that, and as we spoke of yesterday, you're going to bring about a new paradigm, and that new paradigm may not fit all the observations that we've come to expect. And the reason for that is, how is it that we can observe something that isn't true? All you have to do is have it in brain cells, have it in your expectation. And with that expectation, you'll bring about the result. In your mind, the reality, the hallucination, that your expectation has to be matched by your reality. And so what we're looking to do is to share with people the tools for dissolving the realities that in the past have been, what can I say, exacerbated, have been expanded, blown up, made, this is the way to do it kind of thing, while the opposite brain cells have been suppressed. The opposite worldview, that of connectedness and oneness, has been pretty much removed from awareness in the culture in this game of separation. And so that's what we're here to support, and that's what we're here to bring about in the world.
From that Gandhi quote that you were just talking about, one of my teachers told me and told a group of people, said, just be the kind of husband that you'd want your daughter to be married to. Be the kind of spouse that you would want to have. Be the kind of customer that you would want to have in your business. And just always mirror it back and be the kind of person, be the kind of son, be the kind of father, be the kind of employer that you would want to work for. And when I remember that and tap into who it is that I am, then just being that opens the door for the changes and the shifts to make with it. So,
sure. You actually resonate a quote from Margaret Mead, and what she said was, I was brought up to believe that the only thing worth doing was to add to the sum of accurate information in the world. And that's a great way, David, to give people the incentive to add to the accurate, to the loving, to the caring, to the nurturing information is, how would you like that other person to be? Well, just become it, and then you'll see it happening. So that's pretty cool. That's a great way to say it.
Yeah, last night at the meeting, it was talked about treat your neighbor as yourself, like yourself, and I invited them to start treating yourself as you would like your neighbor to treat you, because the truth of it, the way that I see it anyway, my projection of it is that most people are treating other people the same way that they treat themselves. They can only treat them. If they're treating themselves wonderful and holding that space and being that kind of person, it's impossible for them to do anything except treat someone the way that it is that they're feeling. And as you continue to say, it's an inside job. And the real key is the tools and learning, well, how do I do that? And if we were at the intensive, I would almost that I would hear all of the above. And that is the challenge, is we build the brain cells around being that person that we were designed and created from, and to just be that. So that's where I'm at today.
Awesome. Delighted that you're here.
Thank you.
Delighted to be sharing the planet with you. Jeanie, do we have any callers or anything in the chat room?
There are a lot of people that are on the switchboard today. But
can't hear you, sweetie.
Is that better?
That's much better, yes.
There are a number of people on the switchboard, but nobody has their hand up. So if you're on the switchboard and you want to talk, please press 1. That lets me know to put you in queue to talk to Michael. If you're listening on the internet or in the chat room and you want to call in, the number is 646-200-4169.
Awesome. So critical mass, what does it mean? Well, if we have a critical mass of anger, of hatred, of vengeance, what happens is that energetically...
Michael?
Yes.
Before you get into it, we just had a hand go up.
Oh, cool. Fabulous. Let's take the caller. That's more important than what I have to say.
Area code 541. You're on the air. Who do we have?
Hi, it's Julie from Oregon.
Hi, Julie.
Hello, Julie from Oregon.
Hi. I just came in, and I think what you were talking about before and what you were just about to talk about is probably going to be good for me. But I'll bring it up in my current event here. I'm having a hard time being there for myself. And how I am recognizing that is that I get into seeing out there that nobody's there for me. Okay, so I'm looking for it out there, and I know I need to look for it in here. And I go into a mode of separating myself because, oh, well, if nobody's there for me, then I have to do it all myself. So that's just kind of, I could do a worksheet on it, and then I also go into anger a lot over that, frustration and anger, and then that becomes what motivates me to get done what needs to be done, and I don't like that pattern. So I'm just noticing it. Yeah, I'm noticing.
Well, if you look, Julie, at your power person dynamics, remember the codependence workshop, and what we point out is that when the stress is up and the chips are down, what we'll do is repeat the power person dynamic. And so when you're in stress, if you're ignoring yourself and not taking care of yourself, how did your power person deal with you when they were in stress? Were they there for you? Did they take care of you?
No. They were just dealing with their own stress, and they were eliminating me as part of theirs, yes.
Right. So then you learned that you weren't worth taking care of from them. And so when your stress is up and your chips are down, the brain cells that tend to control behavior. Remember in the workshops we've talked about the Aramaic word uta, which is a suffix that when added to a word indicates that unconscious dynamics are controlling perception and behavior. And so in that context, ignoring Julie, we could add uta to that. Ignoring Julie uta would be that there are brain cells that were learned from the power person that, you ignore and you don't take care of Julie. And so when those brain cells are not forgiven, the contents of them are not forgiven, and they are resonated by a particular situation, that's what will tend to create your inclination to behavior. And when that inclination to behavior comes up, as you forgive, what you'll do is you'll change the content of those brain cells. You'll access those uta brain cells and change their content. The person who, for instance, in relationship says, I want to be the absolute most awesome spouse that ever existed, but lived in a relationship with a power person that every time the stress was up and the chips were down, puked on the child. The child, when the stress is up and the chips are down in their relationship, or if they watch dad puke on mom or mom puke on dad, the tendency will be to come along, and we are in a relationship, and the stress is up and the chips are down, and so that situation, that circumstance resonates those brain cells, and those uta brain cells take over, and they incline one toward behavior. Oh, in this situation, I'm supposed to puke on my partner. And so against one's own will and choice, one finds oneself puking on their partner when they say, I want to be the most awesome spouse and have the most awesome, loving relationship ever. And they have no clue what's running their behavior, because what's running their behavior is totally and completely unconscious. It's hidden. And that's why when the marker fear, that is the indicator fear or hostility comes up, that's where you forgive in order to access and remove those uta brain cells, the content of those brain cells, and change the direction of behavior. Make it a conscious choice to behave a certain way rather than an unconscious decision from the past power person dynamics.
Okay, so forgiveness, if I'm kind of in it and I'm not doing a worksheet, but at least the brain cells are there in me, having done a worksheet, basically where I am able to regain my power and awareness is to see that I've had a goal and to cancel the goal, or see that there could be a different way of, having a goal. But so the forgiveness comes in to forgive that goal, that expectation or whatever that's in the way, and then I can open the way for being restored, basically, to the being I am. I'm able to catch myself, and then to go do a worksheet on it and do further forgiveness. Because when something's triggered, it's a gift. Actually, my consciousness is able to see, like, oh, that's running me. Let's do a worksheet. Is that pretty much the next action?
And you're halfway there when you catch yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just thought I'd bring it up, but there are so many barriers to loving ourselves and taking care of ourselves. It's and then was it Dr. Tim or was it David that was just speaking before?
David.
David, yeah.
David, this is Julie. Julie, this is David.
Hi. Yeah, he was saying, I didn't hear the whole thing, but at the end he was saying about being the person we really want to be and extending that to others. I think he was saying that. And so doing this cleanup, this forgiveness and clearing and removing helps clear the way to bring more goodness into the world, just simply from the goodness that we are once we're back in touch with it. Is that correct?
Precisely, yes.
Yeah.
And whenever we forget, and as I say, you're halfway there when you can catch yourself being in a behavior that's automatic decision system. I don't seem to have a choice over this, to where you become conscious of it and you go, oh, okay, well, here's where I need to do some forgiveness. Here's where I need to let go of what doesn't belong. And a quick reminder for what human life is and to tap into how human life would behave in any given situation is just imagine holding a newborn child and function from your newbornness, especially toward yourself, Julie.
Yeah, in my moving process recently, I came across this wonderful photograph that I had thought I'd lost, because every time I find it, I love it. And it's a picture of me as a little girl in, just total joy, just being in the kitchen eating potato chips or something like that. I don't know. And to remember myself like that, I think I should meditate daily on just that exuberance of being here to live a life, I can see it in myself way back then before all the imprints. So
I have an exercise for you today to do today, an exercise of self-loving, and that is go out to your favorite frame shop and buy a really awesome frame for that picture.
Aww.
And put it in the frame.
Yeah.
And then instead of not losing it, you'll always have it, and you'll know right where it is because it's in that awesome frame, and you take care of it just like you take care of yourself.
Well, thank you, Michael. That's so simple. I needed to, I couldn't think of it on my own. Thank you for your joining in my mind with me.
We're all here to support each other. Nobody can do this game alone. And I love that African proverb that says, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And here we are as a community developing and building the ability to go far together as human beings and as to bringing human life into the world. The frequency that comes from the soul, from being, from that newborn child is a subtle energy. And if what's in brain cells has a lot of emotional impact, a lot of emotional content, anger, sadness, grief, pain, hatred, vengeance, loss, then that noise tends to prevent us from hearing the subtler direction and the subtler guidance. And that's where we can be, if we're in a state of willingness, that guidance for each other, and when our willingness is to receive that guidance rather than, no, I'm sticking to my story of pain, of trauma, and don't talk to me about doing loving stuff toward myself because I don't deserve it. Just being able to amplify that voice, and it fits perfectly with the whole critical mass idea because as, I got the smile on your face when I said that. I got the energetic shift. I could feel it. I don't know if anybody else, I suspect many other people in the audience could feel that energetic shift. That's what creates critical mass. When we get enough people doing that instead of enough people doing hate and fear and rage. You look at the, let's say, the atrocities that go on the planet. Say, something in our so-called civilized world where, let's say, for instance, a child is injured or hurt and done purposely by an adult, and everybody turns their hatred and their abuse toward that adult, and so the abuse that one individual does becomes the leavening that draws abuse out in millions of people when it becomes a big publicized story. And when you recognize the energetic effect of that, it's insane. And what we need to be doing is reversing that process and bringing love to those circumstances that hold that negative critical mass. A lot of people don't think about it, but the whole thing is resonance. If I say, don't think about the color of your car, what fires in brain cells? Obviously, the color of your car. If we have a situation, one of the favorite examples I use is if we have a situation where a child has been molested or abused and that becomes a big national publicity campaign, millions of people, what do they want to do to that abuser? They want to abuse them. So now the frequency of abuse has been intensified, especially around children on the planet. And imagine that, there's somebody in Australia today who would never, has within them the potential, maybe 5 generations back there was some kind of molestation or abuse of a child in their bloodline. So that frequency is there, but it would never come to light. It would never become a controller of their behavior. But on a literal energetic level, about 30 years ago I got to do some work with a fellow named Marcel Vogel, who was a 23-year senior scientist from IBM. And Marcel had the instrumentation in the laboratory with which to take a picture of the high energy waves that leave the mind when we think a thought. So you think about millions of people who focus their anger and their rage towards someone who abuses a child, and now you have that high energy wave that Marcel could measure intensifying, and there's nothing we know that can stop that high energy wave except another frequency that matches it. So the person in Australia who has the in their genetics the potential for abuse of a child, because of that resonance, all of a sudden, through that simple exchange of information, no thinking, no reasoning needed, all it is resonance, that starts to fire in them, and perhaps because of that little bit of leavening, because of that critical mass, here this person wakes up and doesn't know why they're in such a rage. Their child comes walking down and, does something that violates their goals, and that person all of a sudden is right there abusing the child in a way that they never would have had the great publicity campaign of rage toward child abuse not started in America. It's time for us to wake up to what we're doing to ourselves and each other on an energetic level, and when we function unconsciously, we simply do whatever we do. And, I acknowledge you for the willingness to be waking up and catching yourself when you're doing something unconscious and going, oops, that one doesn't belong here. I'm going to change that. We get enough people building conscious community, we're going to become the leavening that leavens the whole loaf. How many will it take to bring critical mass shift? I don't know, but I think we're getting close.
And every time I do shift into the look at a Kucha filter, and I can feel myself presencing love, and I can feel, it's not even an imagining, it's just once in a while I notice that, instead of being broken down by what's around me, I'm actually extending into what's around me that love, and then those subtle vibrations are actually giving towards the critical mass transformation that we're all working towards. So maintenance is everything. That's what Jesus taught, isn't it? Maintenance of our life.
Yeah, there's a, on an energetic level, there's an automobile advertisement that, had all these cars going out of the wilderness and everybody gathering, and the quote in the auto advertisement was, if you take enough people to the middle of nowhere, it starts to feel like somewhere.
Yeah.
And our culture has become so good at taking people to the middle of nowhere, of anger, of war, of hatred, of vengeance. When the natural inclination, I mean, you look at America and you look at the millions and millions of awesome, wonderful, good-hearted people. You know, when something goes awry in the world, the first people there to support life. Mm-hmm. And yet there's a faction in our culture. You know, one of the factions that is perpetrating this, especially, on young children, is that stranger that so many people invite into their homes without ever even knowing their name, and that's their television set. And the violence and the viciousness of even the humor, you know, and an exercise, and of course you've been there in the workshop when I've invited people to do this, is, you know, to go home and sit in front of your television set, take a piece of paper, draw a margin down one side of the page a 1/4 inch wide. And as you draw that margin down the page, turn on your TV and spend no more than 3 minutes on any channel. Just flip from station to station to station, minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes at a time. And every time you hear a word that really, truly represents that awesome newborn energy called love, human life, put a check mark on the page. And every time you hear a word that represents hostility and fear, put a check mark on the page. And today one is only going to need just 1 1/4 inch column on one side, and they'll fill pages and pages and pages with the frequency, with the vibration, with the leavening of hostility and fear. And it's crazy. And these kids are watching that, being brainwashed into that, and it starts to feel like somewhere. It starts to feel like, hey, yeah, man, this violence thing, this you know, vicious language thing, this abusing the opposite sex thing, this really starts to feel like somewhere. And it's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so easy to...
for being the leavening and the willingness to change the whole game.
Yeah, you're welcome, and I'm grateful for all of us who are. And thank you very much for discussing this with me. It was a powerful discussion. I appreciate it.
Delighted. Glad to share the planet with you. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Michael, we have another caller.
Great. Cool.
Area code 619. Who do we have?
Hi, everybody. It's Bev from San Diego.
Hi, Bev.
Well, hey there, Bev from San Diego. Welcome to the show again.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're still here.
We're here for eternity. We're on it. We're doing it. We're actually going to change our time, though. Just a reminder, we're going to change our time starting Monday. So this will be our last show in this time frame. We're going to go 1 hour earlier starting on Monday.
Thank you. I saw that on the website.
Cool.
So I want to say thank you very much to Julie for opening up what she opened up, because I just feel more like I have more permission to share what I want to share. So I haven't been on a call. I haven't been on a call for a month because I've just been in so much physical pain, recovering from a really major incident in my life. And I'm feeling better, but now I have so much anxiety and fear about the pain coming back, and I feel an overwhelming mental and emotional responsibility that I have to really be careful of every single thing I think, because if I don't think the right way, I'm going to make the pain come back.
So here would be my highest thought, is that you put the pen to the paper and you start doing worksheets on your fear about creating pain. And, you know, there's a principle in this issue for you, which I'll just ask the question without probably really needing to know the answer because of your words, but how does it look like your life? This is a question we often ask in intensive. How does it look like your life to think that you've got to live in fear in case you make the wrong move? Is that a generational reality in your bloodline?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's just another reality to be changed, just another frequency to be changed. And as you step outside of that carbon-based memory game, whenever you recognize there's some form of hostility or fear coming up in there, rather than giving it attention, rather than entertaining it, or rather than trying to avoid it, Step in. Remember your newborn essence. Step into the essence of your real nature love and embrace that part of you. Gee, here I am in terror that I'm going to do the wrong thing and screw it up again. What's the goal I hold for myself? Well, the goal is I just want to be able to do everything perfectly. Then my power person will be happy. Well, guess what? You were already doing it all perfectly. And no matter how perfectly you did it, your power person wasn't capable of happiness. It wasn't your fault. And so that's just another reality to be let go of and to live in confidence. There's an awesome paragraph in the Course in Miracles, and it speaks about, and you know, one of the worksheets on the website under download worksheets is a purpose worksheet from our workshop, Purpose, Personal Power, and Commitment. And it's a step-by-step worksheet for examining your purpose and examining your purpose as a human being, as the awesome active presence of love. And maybe while you're listening, you put the phone on silent so the dog won't.
Yeah, somebody just pulled up on the driveway. I'm going into the other room. Sorry.
So there's a paragraph in the Course that speaks about when we tap into our real purpose and our real essence. And that's a very important step in the process of healing. And then what the Course says, and it's speaking about, you know, we've talked before in the show about this elemental force that in Aramaic was called Ruku Dukudsha. It is an actual feminine elemental force that undoes the effects of our errors and teaches us the truth. And what the Course says about that is, once you have accepted her plan as the one function that you would fulfill, there will be nothing else that power will not arrange for you. Without your effort, she will go before you, making straight your path and leaving in your way no stones to trip on, no obstacles to bar your way. Nothing you need will be denied you, not one seeming difficulty, but will melt away before you reach it. You need take thought for nothing, careless of everything, except the one purpose that you would fulfill. And its fulfillment is guaranteed because it rests on you, the son or daughter of love.
So I love your work and I love working with you. And I did have to put you on mute because the roofers were here and I had to talk to them for a second right now. So I'm hoping that this is recorded and I can go back and listen to what you just said.
It is recorded.
Oh, good. Thank you. So what happened was I had the shock of my life of getting colon cancer and having surgery for it and having a really, really, really difficult recovery from it, pain-wise. And it comes and goes, and when it comes, it's just unbearable. And I do worksheets, and I live consciously as best as I can.
Right.
And because of this last bout of just extreme pain, I'm very gradually starting to get better. So I think I'm just going to go back and listen to what you said when it's recorded, and then just do more worksheets because I am just living in tremendous terror of the pain coming back. So
you have my support in having the confidence that you will know exactly how to do everything you need to do in order to live in a body that feels awesome and nurtures and supports your being.
Thank you.
And do you get out in the sun very much?
When I'm in that much pain, I just can't even get out of bed. So no. When I'm not in pain, yes.
Yeah, so I'd suggest you spend at least 20 minutes a day in the sun.
Okay.
With as much of your body exposed as you can to the sun, especially your midriff. The sun is one of the best doctors in the world, and it's an awesome natural antibiotic. And besides that, on the skin, it produces vitamin D3 if you're in the sun between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. Now, you want to go earlier, 11 o'clock, 11 to 11:30, 2:30 to 3 every day. And what that does is it produces vitamin D3. And D3, they're saying there's some research coming out of I believe it was University of Minnesota, if I remember correctly, and I may be in error about that. But what they're saying is that all cancers, especially colon cancer, would be reduced by over 40% if people just had proper vitamin D3 levels.
Wow.
But you can only get the D3, it takes ultraviolet blue 2 in order to produce D3 in your body, and you got to be in the sun. And it doesn't matter, it's who figured this one out? There's no creator, I'm sure, but who figured this one out? It only happens between 11 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. Outside of that, you don't have the UVB2, and you can't manufacture vitamin D.
Wow. Oh, that's
so you
awesome.
might want to make sure you get, and especially get your midriff exposed to the sun.
Okay.
And you might just be well on your way to being finished with that whole game. And by the way, if you know any persons of color who are pregnant, women who are pregnant, it is so urgent for them to get in the sun, because D3 is a neurosteroid. It has to do with brain development. And people with dark skin usually don't spend much time in the sun, as I understand. And when they do, they have difficulty because of the pigmentation in creating the D3. So it's even more urgent for women who are pregnant to get their bodies with those babies there out in the sun to get that neurosteroid going. So
okay. Well, that's awesome, because right now I live on a ranch and I have all the privacy in the world to put as much of my body in the sun as I want to.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Well, just be careful what you burn.
Thank you both so much. I am very, very grateful. It's wonderful to talk to you again, and thank you so much for continuing all your wonderful work in the show.
Delighted. Glad to be on the team. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Well, we had another caller that they just hung up, so if you were on hold waiting to speak, if you'll call back in, press 1. We'll get you right back on.
And let's just repeat that. We could repeat that, for the rest of the show, that quote from the Course in Miracles. It's so awesome. And so what it says is, once you have accepted her plan as the one function that you would fulfill, there will be nothing else that higher power will not arrange for you. Without your effort, she will go before you, making straight your path and leaving in your way. No stones to trip on, no obstacles to bar your way. Nothing you need will be denied you. Not one seeming difficulty, but will melt away before you reach it. You need take thought for nothing, careless of everything, except the one purpose that you would fulfill. And its fulfillment is guaranteed, because it rests on you, a son or daughter of love. That's the truth about we human beings. And we live in a world that, for the sake of money, would rather have us functioning as poor, sad, fearful victims. And when we function as those fearful victims, whether it's being a victim of God or, there's lots of that around, a victim of the guy next door or a victim of the country across the globe. Pogo really, there's such wisdom for Pogo. He came up with it. He knew. He said, we have met the enemy, and the enemy is us. And when you come out of that state of denial, which is, I've often thought about proposing that they create a 51st state, because most people live in the result of denial, and that's confusion. And confusion is the non-being mind's first line of defense. We have being, the awesome presence of love, your humanness, and we have non-being, the hostility and fear-based self. Its first line of defense is confusion. And when we live in confusion, we come up with this preposterous identity that has nothing whatsoever to do with who we are. It's insane to think that you're less than the awesome presence of love that you were created to be. And fortunately, the awesome presence of love that you are and that you were created to be is eternal and can't be touched by anything that's ever happened to you or anything that you've ever done. And the world, because it wants to gather your wealth and your power, brainwashes you into a journey that says, I need to find it and it's out there. I need to find it and it's out there. And so people pay all kinds of money to find it, whatever it is. They give their whole lives away. When the truth is, what you're looking for is what is looking. If you think you're going to find love from somebody else, you're looking for love in all the wrong places. Big error. You're going to find it when you are led back into your own true being. And as such, when you wake up to who you are and you function out of your awesome human beingness, the world starts to reorganize itself around you. You become the critical mass that starts to bring change to what's going on in your world. And, you know, I believe it was Margaret Mead also that made the statement that it's only ever taken one person. You know, one of the games of the world is to have us feeling hopeless, helpless, powerless. That's all a fraud. That's all a lie. When you align with your purpose, this is an idea we get into in the workshop, Purpose, Personal Power, and Commitment. When you align with your purpose, you have as much power as any human being that has ever lived. And when you function out of that purpose, everything begins to move in an awesome direction in your world. And so we're here to support you in that. And it's fabulous to be sharing this time with you. Jeanie, do we have any callers? Anything happening in the chat room? And your mute button's probably on.
It was on. We do have another caller. And it is area code 546. You're on the air. Who do we have? Area code 546. You know, it's probably 954. I think it's missing the first number.
Hi. Yes. Hello.
Hi, Nene.
Hey there, young lady.
Hi. Hello. Well, it's my birthday.
It's your eternal day? Fabulous. Well, happy eternal day.
Yes. So I just, your words, awesome. I mean, yes, I'm celebrating this wonderful life experience, and most of all, celebrating that I've been able to manage my reality.
It's an awesome skill to acquire, isn't it? You know that you're in charge of the realities that happen in your mind.
Yes.
So do we have a question today?
No, I just want to thank you and everybody in Heartland and you and Jeanie for the awesome experience and the teaching. And I'm very much enjoy. And I spoke to my daughter, and I was able to connect with certain things, certain feelings, and I know I have to do my worksheet, but it's better now. It's always better.
Awesome. That's the idea, is as you remove the hostility and fear-based realities from the mind, then you're more apt to be in touch with your higher faculties, your higher intuition, and bring that into expression.
Yes.
We had an awesome, we finished about 2.5 weeks ago now, but we had an awesome 9-day intuitive development workshop. And a couple of the ladies that were here with you for teacher training came back and did that. And it was Marie and Ray, and we just had an awesome time together. It was a small group, but it was a really fun 9 days, and tapping into these this faculty, strengthening this intuitive faculty is a powerful thing to do.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Wonderful.
So you're getting ready for Sunday for your Y workshop. Can we support you in any way in your preparations for that workshop?
Yeah, well, so far I sent the revised flyer And, just if you want to announce it in maybe next week in the radio. And, I feel very confident. I have all the information with me and the two previous experiences. And I'm very excited because I have other people from other areas calling me, like from the music club of music, calling to register. I have people from West Palm Beach, Brenda, and she's bringing some other people too. So far it's already having movement. It has already there. Yes.
Awesome. Fabulous.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yep. And
then,
I'll
unfold.
Thank you. And yes, I already spoke to the camera person also. So that is on track. To be either this one or the following one, but I already made the contact with the person.
Very good.
Cool. Well, are there any questions we can support you with in terms of the presentation of the workshop or the worksheet process?
I pressed the wrong button.
Say it again.
Are you there? I'm here.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. No, everything is fine. I'm really, so far, very confident with the material. And also, I've added certain examples that were easier for me to explain as well. And I'm just reviving today and feel full of energy. And I'm very happy to be in this path, really, to have this opportunity to express that teaching and give the tools to many other people.
Fabulous. Fabulous. So Nene, for those who haven't met, Nene is a young lady who started doing this work back in January, has totally shifted and transformed her life in so many different awesome ways, from relationship with her daughter to her male-female relationships, to her business relationships, and is teaching the work. And in Hollywood, Florida, next Sunday, we'll be doing Why Is This Happening to Me Again at a location. What's the name of the location again, Nene?
The Goddess, Goddess Store and Studio.
Goddess Store in Hollywood. And a copy of the flyer is on our website, which is www.whyagain.com. So you can tap in if you're down in the Hollywood area and you want to go join Nene for the day. That would be fabulous.
And I want to thank and acknowledge also the owner, Carmen Garson, for her support and for inviting and always supporting the highest and best in all of us. That's
awesome.
Awesome. Very good.
Very cool.
Okay, well, Michael,
Renee,
we have one more caller. We have one more caller. Area code 941. You're on the air. Who do we have?
Hi, this is Marie in Florida. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you, Marie?
Intuition, I was just talking about you.
I know. I was listening to your show, and I know I'm coming to the tail end of the show. Well, I wanted to tell you wonderful presentation today, as usual. Thank you, Nene, for the update. Thank you, David. He was supporting me. I was supporting him, I think. Thank you, Tim, for being there, and you, Michael, and Jeanie. Just wanted to tell you that this presentation that you did today about the power person has been in my mind the whole week, and that's what I was conveying to David yesterday. I know we're running out of time, so I'll be quick. And that has been my ongoing issue right now, is to fight against the power person resonance in me. And David was nice enough yesterday to tell me that it's an old program, old vignette that I'm playing in my mind. And today, for me, it was such an encouragement and additional information that I will be able to replay and add to my tools that I'm using, and mind shifters and breathing and forgiveness sheet and so on and so forth. So just wanted to tell you that I really appreciate, and just like meeting of great minds, that the fighting against the resonance towards the power person, if I am resonating with that, I am sure that some people in your audience are having the same issue as well. And I thank you so much for having addressed that today.
Fabulous. And, I of course, have an ongoing conversation with David, and I know that he's brought up several times how your input for him has been so supportive. So he's really appreciating the connection that he has with you and the support he's receiving from you in that regard. You've been extremely generous, and I know he appreciates it very deeply.
You're very welcome, but as you know, and you told me repeatedly, is like we convey to others what we need to learn most, right?
That's it.
I convey to others what I need to learn most.
That's what we're all here. It's all autobiographical.
But I really appreciate that, and I don't know about others that are online right now or in chat room or on the phone, but I do think that the power person resonance is a biggie for a lot of people. And if you would address that, I know you addressed it beautifully today, but sometimes repeating is what builds the brain cells. And I think it would also help a lot of people to really understand that dynamic that's going on with people in their own personal life.
Yeah, it's such a key thought that every time I present that workshop or I watch the DVD of it, it still boggles my mind again how that all falls together and comes together. But in essence, what Marie's referring to is that when we're functioning in some form of hostility or fear, we're limited to 3 behaviors that were learned in relationship to our power person. And the power person is a person who had more power over your life at some point than you did. And so what happens when we're functioning out of the dynamics of our power person resonance is that the 3 behaviors that take over our lives are all stress-related. And just kind of take a look at the long view of your life and notice that when there's no stress, your automatic decision system inclines you to do whatever you did to get along with your power person. When stress starts to build, then a shift in behavior takes place, and all of a sudden your mind starts to prompt you to do what you did to resist and survive with your power person. And then notice when you become ultra-stressed, you'll do what your power person did that you hated the most.
And this is such an important insight that you're conveying right now, because then I can look back and say, oops, this is what's happening right now, and this is what I have to forgive. And it's a kind of, for me, a lifelong battle.
Yeah. Sure. Well, and, we're all in that game. That's the process, and we're now down to about, 45 seconds or so. So we're going to have to move forward. And, perhaps, Marie, you want to be on Monday, and let's continue the conversation about the power person dynamics and codependence to independence workshop.
Wonderful. I appreciate that.
And that will be one of the workshops.
Bye.
That will be one of the workshops that we'll be doing in, next Friday in, where are we going to be? In North Carolina, Greensboro, North Carolina, at the Unity Church. And let me finish with a quote from a 4-year-old in her prayer. And her prayer was, "And forgive us our trash baskets as we forgive those who put trash in our baskets." Had the best year yet of your eternal life. Bring a stranger with you to the show on Monday. Remember, we're going to start an hour earlier than we have been. New time for the show, 1 hour earlier. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Mind Shifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife Jeanie, who present the internal Aramaic process of forgiveness. Michael and Jeanie are here every Monday through Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Earth Angels Radio. For more on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. That's www.whyagain.com.